Welcome to another episode of the Clean Palette Podcast. I'm your host, Justice Johnson. Today, we peel back the paint and reveal the clean palette on my experiences with the Immersive Van Gogh Exhibit. These are in 18 cities in the United States, and it is growing. So you might see one of these coming to a city near you soon. I know that Detroit is opening up a location as early as this month. And so I kind of wanted to break down my experiences with it. I went there last weekend and kind of let you know what you can expect if either you decide to finally go to one or one pops up in a city near you soon and you might want to take a trip. So I went last weekend. I went to Chicago with my girlfriend, and, I don't like to plan a whole lot for city trips. Not really my style. Like, I like to do things, of course, and I like to plan some, maybe a little bit. But if I see something cool, I don't want to be dragged down by already having plans or prior commitments. Kind of like to go with the flow. And this was definitely one of those experiences. So when we went, we started walking around, and everything that you saw was about the Immersive Van Gogh exhibit. From trash cans to mailboxes and then street banners. And these street banners, when I tell you they probably went for miles of the exact same advertisement, this is it was a vicious campaign. Good on them because it ended up getting us to go. But it wasn't the only thing that I had seen about that. I have a friend that sent me a big list of bars, clubs, various things that I should try to check out while I'm here. And one of them was kind of the exhibit. It was in a category that was just miscellaneous things to do. So I decided to look a little deeper into things to do around Chicago. And another website pops up and it's talking about it. And the way they described it was phenomenal. So they talked about it, and they made it seem like you went into one room, and it was a VR experience, and then you go to another, and it was almost like this museum-esque exhibit, where every room was a different activity or scenario where you can go and, there were paintings of the Van Gogh room. And they would be suspended on wood planks, and you could just see things in different perspectives and in different arrays. And that was very cool to me, but that wasn't really what I got. So what really happens when you go is that you go, which is still a phenomenal experience, but I had this anticipation of getting this totally surreal experience in my head that this blog or activity post kind of put out there. And when you go, they tote that they have 50 plus projectors depending on which location you go to, and they have 500,000 cubic feet of projections, and then they have 60,600 frames of video and 90 million pixels. So it is more of a show than it really is a full exhibit, if you want to frame it that way. Don't go and expect all of these crazy things yet. On their website, at least for vangoghchicago.com, they talk about wanting to add more activities, but at the moment they only have the show and then the gift shop. So there might come a time where you kind of go a little further into it, and there are those things to do. But with my framing going in there, I was a little disappointed because for the two of us, we ended up paying $120. And so this is for a premium-esque, it was one step up from the basic plan. And I think it was called Basic Flex. And so what you got to do is you got to enjoy the show, but with the flexibility to kind of go at your own pace. And even with that framing, with how I was presented the information originally, it made it seem like you kind of went at your own pace through the museum or like the exhibit and did the activities at your own pace. But there was only the one thing. There was only the show. And the show lasted about 20 to 30 minutes. And there's nobody there really enforcing whether or not you kind of stay to continue watching them. So realistically, you can pay for the basic plan and get the full experience of like the basic plus, or the basic flex, I should say. And then there are other plans that you can get where you get more things. And I believe that the other tickets get you a custom poster. And then you get, I think for $59, you get to rent a Van Gogh cushion to sit on. And then if you pay $99, you get to take that cushion home. And those weren't really things I was interested in, because I didn't really think that the viewing portion was like the whole thing. When I went in, I thought that that was like one thing to do, and it was like a cool portion of it, but it wasn't going to be the entire $60 worth. And while it is an amazing show, it has like, you go and it is very safe to go. They have socially distanced circles that are displayed on the ground, and you just stay within them. And you can walk around while the show is displaying, but most people kind of stay in place. The same projections are kind of shown throughout the different walls, and it's a fun time. But I don't know, in my opinion, if it was truly something that was worth the price point at the moment. Is it something that I'm glad that I did? For sure. I'm glad that I got to see it. It was something that was super cool. But for the price and for what it was hyped up to be, I was a little disappointed. For the visuals that were accompanying it, it was all of Van Gogh's paintings, or a large majority of them, and it was accompanied by this like cool music. It was a show, like it was choreographed, like the music went with the paintings. There were times where everything would cut out and you would hear walking, as if somebody was walking with like dress shoes on a hardwood floor, and it would cut from one side to another, and you could hear it kind of pace, like from your left ear to your right, and you would kind of look around the entire like 120 square feet, or 120, I think, yards that the building is, and like you would just look around and try to see like where the noise was coming from. Obviously it was from the speakers, but that made it for a cool experience. Some of the paintings had really good detail, and then others weren't as developed, I should say. And just like overall, I'm very glad that I went, but also there's a hint of disappointment where it could have been so much more. It could have been a little heftier, and I know that it had a large Paris showing that had about over 2 million visitors and still working. So like, that's super cool. I'm glad that I got to be a part of it. I'm glad that I got to see it. But I just feel like there's a gut feeling that there could be so much more for an artist that had so many collective works and like so many paintings and drawings towards the end of his life. Like, you could really dive into different aspects, and like, there's just so much cool stuff about Van Gogh that I want to do like a whole episode just on him. And I feel like the Immersive Van Gogh exhibit didn't fully it was like, it felt very one-dimensional. It is all over, it is surrounding you, but that's it. You go for 30 minutes, maybe you watch it twice, but realistically, the first time you watch it through, that's enough. You don't need to go a second time. So if you're wanting to see it and you are dying to go, then by all means, go. I'm not going to try to sway anybody away from it. It's a very good time, but I might wait until there is more to see than just the show and the gift shop. And the gift shop is full of little tchotchkes and socks and mini prints that you can get, and like maybe a little bit of jewelry, but it's nothing crazy. It's okay, and that's fine. But I'm not paying $60 for Fine when it comes to Van Gogh, when there's so much that you can play with, and like there's so much imagination that can come with like a whole exhibit. And if you have the space to do it, by all means, like throw that VR in there, throw all of the other pieces that you can kind of put in there. If I can look at it online and see what could have been, then I want to see that next time I go, or for the next version that this company displays. I just think that it could have been done better, and it is produced by Lighthouse Immersive, and hopefully they add a little bit more to their show. Whether they extend the length of it, or they just add more pieces. But I want to know from you whether or not, if you've been or not, how, and if you have been, what were your thoughts on the Immersive Van Gogh exhibit? Which location did you go to? Did they display it differently? And just like, how was your overall time there? Do you think that they could do more? Do you think that they did just enough? I would really like to know. So let me know in the comments on either the comments down below or on the Instagram. That is going to be Clean Palette Podcast on Instagram. And I thank you for listening to another episode. I didn't record last week. I wanted to get caught up. I had a lot of videos for the podcast that I wanted to display on YouTube, kind of still piecing those together, getting the time to condense those, upload those. So I thank you for bearing with me in these kind of opening months while I get everything rolling and getting to a consistent schedule. But my name is Justice Johnson, and you can find my art page at Justice Tries, and find me there, see if I can be your next favorite artist, and follow the show. I really appreciate it. I really am glad that I'm seeing that more people are coming on this journey, learning about art, participating, getting involved. So I thank you guys for listening if you got to this part. And until next week, stay creative.